Hello everyone and welcome to this video lesson about constellations and stars. So in this lesson, we will be discussing the stars, its characteristics based on the characteristics of the closest star on Earth, which is the Sun, and we'll also be exploring the different constellations visible in the night sky at different times of the year in both northern and southern hemispheres. So let's start! Now let's talk about the characteristics of stars. Stars are massive, luminous spheres of plasma held together by their own gravity. So the closest star on Earth, which is the Sun, and also the most important star for us as it provides the energy needed for life on Earth. So the Sun is a yellow dwarf star, which means it is relatively small and has a surface temperature of around 5,500 degrees Celsius. So the size of a star is determined by its mass, and the mass of stars can range from less than 0.1 solar masses to more than 100 solar masses. The temperature of a star determines its color, with the cooler stars appearing red and hotter stars appearing blue. The luminosity of star is determined by its temperature and size, and it refers to the total amount of energy a star emits per unit of time. Now let's move on to the constellations. So constellations are a group of stars that form recognizable patterns in the night sky. Many of these constellations have different names that can be traced back to early Babylonians and Greek civilization, but nearly all cultures have different names for constellations. So for example, the Greek called the large constellation Orion, which means hunter and is prominent in the night sky all over the world in winter season. Early Filipinos visualized the same group of stars as balatik, a trap used in hunting wild pigs. So Christian Filipinos named the three stars at Orion's belt Tatlong Maria or Tres Marias. They have been important to human culture and navigation for thousands of years ago. So constellations provide a way for people to connect with the night sky and appreciate the beauty and wonder of the universe. So by studying constellations, we can better understand the history of human civilizations and the role of the night sky that has played in our cultural and scientific development. Let's start by looking at the constellation visible in our night sky in the northern hemisphere. So in countries that have 4 seasons, we can also view constellation. For example, in the summer months, the constellation Cassiopeia, Cygnus, and Lyra are all visible in our night sky. In the fall, the constellation Pegasus, Andromeda, and Perseus can be seen. In the winter, the constellation Orion, Taurus, and Gemini are all present. And finally, in the spring, the constellations Virgo, Leo, and Cancer are all visible in our night sky. So moving on to the southern hemisphere constellation. Though the constellations are also visible in our night sky, it is different from those in the northern hemisphere constellation. For example, in the summer months, the constellation Crux, Scorpius, and Carina can be seen. In the fall, the constellations Sagittarius, Capricornus, and Aquarius are visible. In the winter, the constellations Papis, Vela, and Canis Major are all visible. And finally, in the spring, the constellation Hydra, Centaurus, and Lupus are all visible. So, for example, in the northern hemisphere, the constellation Orion indicates the coming of cold season. The constellation made it easier for them to recognize and interpret patterns in the night sky. For example, Gemini is seen in the Philippines during the months of April and May. Farmers interpreted the appearance of Gemini as the end of the planting season, and it signified rich harvest. Again, let's recall everything. The closest star to the Earth is the Sun, which is the yellow dwarf star with a surface temperature of around 5,500 degrees Celsius. The characteristics of stars, such as their size, temperature, and luminosity, are all determined by their mass and their energy output. Constellations in the night sky change depending on the time of the year and the hemisphere you're in. In the northern hemisphere, constellations like Cassiopeia, Cygnus, and Lyra are visible in the summer months, while in the southern hemisphere, constellations like Crux, Scorpius, and Carina can be seen. You know what? Constellations have an important role in our universe. Constellations have different uses since 1,000 years ago. It can be sign of harvest time, a sign of changing of season, landmark where you are able to know if you are in the northern part of the earth or in the southern part, and many more uses. And that's all for today. See you tomorrow for another fantastic science facts. Thank you for watching.